Listen, I'm going to be brutally honest with you right now. That gut feeling telling you to send one more text. Dead wrong. That instinct screaming at you to explain yourself again. Completely backwards. That voice saying you need to fix this immediately. It's lying to you. Every single one of those impulses is actively sabotaging your chances. Right now, you're probably dealing with one of these situations. Maybe you had something real with a girl and completely fumbled it. Perhaps you went on an amazing first date but she suddenly went cold. Or maybe there's someone in your friend group you've been orbiting, hoping she'll finally see you differently. Doesn't matter which one. Your mistake is identical in all three scenarios. You think the solution is more effort. More communication. More presence. More of you. You're trying to dig yourself out of a hole by digging faster. Except you're not climbing out. You're just making the hole deeper. Here's what nobody tells you, what no dating coach wants to admit because it sounds too simple. Your natural instincts after screwing things up are completely backwards. Everything that feels productive isn't. Everything that seems like progress is actually regression. Your brain is designed to solve problems by taking action. That works great when you're fixing a car or completing a project. It fails miserably with women. When guys mess up with women, they immediately shift into repair mode. They convince themselves that somewhere in the next perfectly crafted message lies the solution. So they keep typing. Keep explaining. Keep reaching out. Each message adding more suffocating pressure to a situation that desperately needed space to breathe. You cannot heal a burn by touching it repeatedly. The heat needs to dissipate first. The skin needs time without interference. Relationships work the same way. Think about what you've been doing since things went wrong. You've probably sent multiple texts trying to clarify your intentions. You've maybe written and deleted a dozen different messages, searching for the perfect words. You've analyzed every conversation, looking for the exact moment things shifted. You've possibly even tried the classic move of being extra nice, extra available, extra attentive. All of that feels like you're doing something constructive. It feels like you're fighting for what you want. It feels like a man who doesn't give up. But from her perspective, it feels like desperation wearing a strategy costume. It feels like pressure she never asked for. It feels like someone who doesn't understand boundaries. The first step to fixing this isn't doing more. It's doing nothing. Not passive nothing. Strategic nothing. Calculated absence. Intentional silence. What I'm about to show you will feel counterintuitive, maybe even painful. But this single strategy has more power than every explanation you could ever write. You need to completely vanish for 21 days. Not give her some space. Not slow down a bit. I mean genuinely gone. Radio silence. Digital ghost. Zero contact. This isn't about playing games. This is about interrupting a destructive pattern that's currently defining how she sees you. These 21 days break down into 3 distinct weeks. Each with its own purpose. Each doing different work. Week 1 is the external cleanse. Stop texting her. Stop calling her. Stop watching her Instagram stories. Yes, she can absolutely see you viewed them. Stop checking her profile even without interacting. Stop rereading old conversations like they're archaeological artifacts containing hidden meaning. That last one is critical. Rereading keeps you emotionally trapped in a moment that's already dead. You're essentially refreshing a wound that needs to close. The external silence is honestly the easy part. The real challenge is internal. If your phone is quiet but you're spending 6 hours daily obsessing about her, you haven't actually left the situation. You've just gone silent while remaining completely absorbed. That obsession will eventually leak out. You'll rationalize one small check-in. One message that doesn't count. Suddenly you're back at square one. Week 1 is about breaking the mental loop inside your head. Fill your time with genuinely absorbing activities that don't leave room for rumination. Hit the gym harder than before. Start that project you've been postponing. Reconnect with friends you've been neglecting. Week 2 shifts to releasing control. Something destructive happens when you want someone and things go wrong. You start believing there's a perfect sequence of words and actions that guarantees your desired outcome. So you spend all your mental energy searching for this mythical combination. That search itself is the problem. It creates the desperation that makes you unattractive. You're not desperate because you acted desperately. You're desperate because you've been mentally rehearsing desperation while planning your next move. The real work this week is accepting genuine uncertainty. Not pretending to be okay with it. Actually sitting with the possibility that this might not work out and still being fundamentally fine. Remind yourself that you don't need this specific person to have a good life. List genuine reasons why this situation might not be right for you. This breaks the emotional dependency that makes you behave poorly without realizing it. Wanting someone and needing them are fundamentally different. One is attractive. The other is repulsive. If you resurface still needing validation, you'll reveal it in the first conversation. Guaranteed. Week 3 is brutal honesty time. Now you need to get honest about what actually happened. Not the version where you were mostly reasonable and she overreacted. The real version. Silence alone doesn't reset anything. It just clears space. What you do when you resurface is what actually matters. If you return as the exact same person she already categorized, she'll pick up where she left off mentally. Nothing changed for her because nothing actually interrupted the pattern she'd built around you. In her mind, you already have a file. Right now that file is working against you. This phase has one job. Shatter that file. Crack the image she has of you. Make her old version of you feel incomplete, like she never had the full picture. Before you do anything, you need to know what you're actually interrupting. Review everything that happened. What were you right before things went wrong? Name it specifically. Not vaguely like I messed up. What was the actual impression she walked away with? Were you too available? Too eager? Too predictable? Too passive? Too nice? That diagnosis is the foundation of this entire phase. Your interruption must be the opposite of whatever that was. If you don't know what you're interrupting, you're just randomly changing behavior and hoping something connects. The pattern interrupt isn't an announcement. It's a feeling she gets before she can explain it. If you were too nice, she needs to see edge. A rougher, more unfiltered side she didn't think existed in you. If you were passive, show something more direct and grounded. If you were predictable, introduce something that doesn't fit her script for you. The key word here is subtle. You're not performing a new character. You're just letting something show that contradicts the old image. One element that makes her think, wait, I didn't know that was there. That's enough. That's actually all you need to crack the file open. Here's a specific tactic that works powerfully in this phase. Reach out. Invite her somewhere. Let her feel the relief of you coming back. Then cancel without rescheduling. This might sound harsh, but the psychology is profound. When you resurface after weeks of silence, there's natural relief on her end. Things are normalizing. The tension is resolving. Then you pull that certainty right back out. No extensive explanation. No new date set. Just vague and unbothered about it. That move breaks her assumption that your return means things revert to how they were. She doesn't know where she stands now. And that uncertainty is exactly where curiosity starts growing. Update what she can see. Better photos. More social activity. Women around you casually. Make the old flat version of you she had in her head feel outdated. There's a difference between a man who seems like he's trying to make someone jealous and a man who simply has a life. Be the second one. Get out. Talk to other women. Approach. Flirt. Remind yourself she's not the last option on the planet. You broke her image of you in the previous phase. Now comes the art of not wasting that opening. Here's what happens after a good pattern interrupt. There's confusion in the air. She doesn't fully know what to make of you anymore. Most guys, the second they sense that confusion, rush to resolve it. They get warm and available again. They over-explain everything. They hand her back the certainty she just lost. That's the fatal mistake. The confusion you created is now your most valuable asset. Don't touch it. Don't explain it away. In this phase, the goal is making whatever you say linger. After the conversation ends, after she puts her phone down, something stays unfinished in her head. She can't quite let it go. That feeling has a name. Unresolved sentiment. It's basically the engine of attraction at this stage. The mechanism is simple. You say something that implies more than it explains. Something that naturally makes her want to ask a question. Then when she asks, you don't fully answer it. Here's a specific example. You send her a message. Just saw Night at the Roxbury on TV. Reminded me of you. That's it. Nothing else. That one sentence does something very specific. It immediately creates a gap she needs to fill. Her brain starts working on it automatically. She can't help it. Within minutes, maybe seconds, she asks why. That question she just sent you. That's the first sign she's investing. People don't try to close loops they don't care about. The fact that she asked means something is pulling her. The open loop created a small but real emotional itch. She moved toward you to scratch it. That movement is exactly what this phase is designed to produce. This is where it breaks down for most guys. The natural human response is to answer. She asked, you reply. Normal conversation. But answering kills everything you just built. Curiosity dies the second certainty arrives. She asked because something felt unresolved. The moment you hand her a clean explanation, the feeling closes. You're back to being readable and predictable. So when she asks why Night at the Roxbury reminded you of her, don't answer it directly. Give her half of something that opens another question. Maybe say something like, you have that same chaotic energy. Then change the subject. Whatever you choose, don't hand her the resolution. The unanswered question keeps you in her head after the conversation ends. A full answer would have ended it right there. Here's the benchmark this phase works with. If she asks 3 to 5 genuine questions across this phase, you're doing it right. But the real signal is when she asks the same question twice. She came back for the answer she didn't get the first time. By now something has shifted. She's curious. She's thinking about you. The seeds are planted. This phase is about making them grow. And the way you do that is probably the opposite of what you'd expect. You pull back. Here's the logic. Up until now, if you've been putting in effort, your attention has become something she can count on. And when something is always available, the brain stops registering its value. Think about it like this. You don't think about oxygen until there's less of it. This phase reduces the oxygen to make her feel what your presence actually means to her. The attraction is already there under the surface. She might not have fully named it yet, but it's there. This phase pushes it toward a point where it becomes hard for her to keep ignoring. Drop your effort by 60 to 75%. This is one of the most specific instructions in this entire system. It's worth taking literally. Fewer texts. Shorter conversations. Less effort to see her. Less trying overall. If you were sending 10 messages a day, send 3. If conversations were going for an hour, keep it to 15 minutes and end it first. If you were always the one initiating, stop initiating as much. Not completely silent. That's not what this phase is. You're still there. Still in contact. Still warm when she talks to you. But the volume of your investment drops sharply. And that drop needs to be noticeable. She needs to feel the difference. If she doesn't feel it, nothing in this phase is working. Now change your emotional tone. This is harder to explain, but it's actually the most important part. There's a specific vibe this phase is going for. Imagine how you talk to your accountant or a colleague you're friendly with but not emotionally invested in. You're polite. You're normal. You're not cold or rude. But you're also not anxious about whether they find you interesting. You're not overmanaging the interaction. You're not trying to make sure they leave the conversation happy. That's the energy. Present, calm, self-contained. No emotional need leaking through. The reason this matters is that when you've been emotionally invested in someone, it shows in small ways you don't even notice. The way you respond a little too fast. The way you add one more message when you should have stopped. The way you soften something you said because you're not sure how she took it. All of that is invisible pressure you've been putting into every interaction. This phase removes that pressure. When that pressure disappears, she feels it. Not always consciously, but she feels that something is different. That difference creates a question in her head. Wait, did I lose something here? That question is the whole point. Everything you did for the past month and a half was leading to this. The reset, the pattern interrupt, the open loops, the detachment. None of that was the goal. It was all just preparation for one single moment where you stop managing the atmosphere and actually do something. This phase is one encounter, one window. And if you don't use it, it closes. By this point her emotions have already been guided into the right zone. She's curious about you. She's felt the tension. She's felt your pullback. A few days of hesitation, a few more days of I'll wait for a better moment, and the whole thing deflates back to neutral. The ideal setup is simple. One-on-one, just you and her. That's the environment where you can actually act cleanly without all the noise. Your first job in this phase is creating that situation. Invite her somewhere. Get her in a setting where it's just the two of you. It doesn't have to be some elaborate date. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now what if you can't get the perfect one-on-one setup? What if you see her at a party or in a social situation with other people around? It's not ideal, but you can still act. The most important thing here is not the perfect setting. It's making the move. A slightly imperfect moment where you actually did something is worth 10 perfect moments where you froze. This is where most guys lose the phase entirely and they don't even realize it. They get her alone. The vibe is good. Things feel charged. And then they spend the next hour scanning for some clear, unmistakable sign that she wants them to make a move. A sign that's so obvious it removes all risk. And that sign never comes. Or it comes and goes while they're still analyzing it. Here's the truth. There is no universal signal. There's no moment where she holds up a sign saying now. If she agreed to be alone with you, that's the signal. Think about that for a second. She could have said no. She could have been busy. She could have suggested something group-related instead. She didn't. She's there one-on-one with you. That willingness to isolate with you is already telling you something. Trust it. What does make a move actually mean in practical terms? Go for the kiss. It sits in the right middle ground. It's direct enough to make your intention clear. She's not left wondering if you're just being friendly. But it's not so aggressive that it comes across badly if the timing is slightly off. The kiss is the model move for this phase. Direct, clear, not over the top. Build the tension before the last second. The move shouldn't come out of nowhere. So you made the move. She reciprocated. Now you're actually together. This is where most guys make their second critical mistake. They think the hard part is over. It's not. In fact, this is where everything you learn becomes permanent practice rather than temporary strategy. The traits that attracted her can't disappear now. The unpredictability, the edge, the emotional independence, the life outside of her. All of it needs to stay. The moment she fully has you, the moment you become completely predictable and available again, you begin losing her. Never abandon the life you built during the separation. The friends, the activities, the social circle, the ambitions. Those weren't props for attraction. They need to be real, ongoing parts of who you are. Maintain some degree of mystery. You don't need to share every thought. Explain every action. Be completely transparent about your entire day. Some space in the relationship keeps curiosity alive. Don't make her your entire world. The fastest way to become unattractive in a relationship is making her the sole source of your happiness, validation, and purpose. Keep challenging her occasionally. Not through conflict, but by not being completely predictable. Surprise her sometimes. Have opinions that differ from hers. Maintain your own standards. Balance attention with space. There's a rhythm to healthy relationships. Closeness followed by independence. Attention followed by focus on other things. Don't smother. Remember that brutal honesty you did in week 3 of the disappearance? That understanding of what actually went wrong the first time. That becomes your playbook for what not to do now. If you were too available before, maintain boundaries around your time. If you were too agreeable, keep your opinions. If you were too emotionally dependent, maintain your independence. The version of you that got her back is the version you need to stay. Everything I've taught you so far was about attraction and re-attraction. But maintaining a relationship requires different skills. Effective communication without neediness. Conflict resolution without losing frame. Emotional presence without emotional dependency. Vulnerability without weakness. These are complex skills that go way beyond what we've covered here. And if you want to master those skills, if you want to understand how to keep a woman attracted long-term, you need to subscribe right now. Because the next videos in this series break down exactly how to maintain attraction in relationships. How to handle conflicts without becoming weak. How to create emotional connection without becoming needy. How to be vulnerable in ways that actually increase attraction instead of killing it. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Because what comes next is even more important than getting her back. It's keeping her without losing yourself in the process. The link is right there. Don't skip this part. Here's what this entire system was really about. It wasn't about manipulation. It was about becoming the version of yourself that's naturally attractive. The disappearance taught you emotional independence. The pattern interrupt taught you to be more than one-dimensional. The open loops taught you the power of mystery. The withdrawal taught you that scarcity creates value. The decisive moment taught you that boldness matters more than perfect timing. All of these aren't tricks. They're transformations. The man who can execute this system is fundamentally different from the man who needed it in the first place. You learn to manage your emotions rather than being controlled by them. You learn to create space rather than suffocating situations. You learn to act decisively rather than waiting for perfect conditions. You learn that your value comes from who you are, not from who wants you. That's the real victory here. Not just getting her back, but becoming someone who doesn't desperately need any specific person to feel whole. The irony is that once you truly internalize these lessons, you might discover you don't even want her anymore. The growth you experienced might have shifted what you're actually looking for. And that's perfectly fine. Actually, that's the best possible outcome. Because the goal was never really about her. It was about you becoming the kind of man who has options. Who creates attraction naturally. Who doesn't lose himself in pursuit of someone else. Whether you end up with this specific girl or not, you're now equipped with something far more valuable. The understanding of how attraction actually works and the ability to create it intentionally. Use it wisely. Use it ethically. And remember that the most attractive thing you can ever be is a man who's genuinely living his own life. Not desperately trying to insert himself into someone else's. Most guys will watch this video and do nothing with it. They'll nod along, agree with everything, and then go right back to texting her desperately. Don't be that guy. The system works but only if you actually execute it. Day 1 starts now. 21 days of silence. No exceptions. No just checking in. No convincing yourself that your situation is different. It's not. The principles are universal. And here's the thing nobody talks about. Sometimes you do everything right and it still doesn't work out. Sometimes she's genuinely not the right person. Sometimes the timing is truly off. Sometimes there are factors completely outside your control. That's life. But you'll know you did everything you could. You'll know you showed up as the best version of yourself. You'll know you didn't leave anything on the table. And that knowledge, that certainty, is worth more than any specific outcome.